Chicago Bears fans, what the hell did we just watch? 52 points, 52 hung on us by the Detroit Lions. The last time this franchise gave up 50, Marc Trestman was still on the sidelines. And tonight, the Bears just dragged us back to those dark days. This wasn't just a loss. It was an embarrassment, a gutless performance that leaves every player, coach, and decision maker on notice. I'm Rob Schwartz with Bear Goggles On. With me tonight are my co-hosts and anger management sponsors, Justin Onayemi and Bob Weiss. This is the Hallis Huddle. And if you're as angry as I am, you're in the right place.
Hallis Huddlers, we are going to get through this together. All right, it's just the second game of the season, but our community has grown. We continue to gain subscribers every video, so thank you. Subscribe to this video if you'd like to hang with us through this entire season. If not, please make sure you comment. We want to know what you think of this game and what you think of how we think of this game.
All right, we're going to start with the mauling report, our chance to kind of go over the game, but I don't know, guys. I think the Bears were the ones that got mauled today by the Lions. You know, Rob, you said it in the opening, embarrassment. Marc Trestman, I mean, back-to-back when he was at it. We better not give up 50 next week or we'll be right back there. I think I had hair back then. I was trying to pull out my hair today, but nothing there to even do. So there was right away, they marched down the field, no resistance. Oh, actually, Santos kicks it out of bounds to begin the game. And from that point forward, they just did whatever they wanted on the very first drive. And I'm going to give Bob Weiss a heck of a lot of credit. In our chat says, wow, Lions look like they're going for 50 today. And the Bears actually responded right away. So I said, maybe the Bears will have 51. That's not the way it turned out. I'll throw it to you, Bob. And then we'll have our work cut out for us being your anger management people, Rob, I'm afraid. Bob, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to find a lot of positives when the opposing team hangs 50 on you and it's just uncompetitive by the end of the third quarter. I get that. But the story of this game was still a lot of self-inflicted issues, and you can still see the potential of what this team could do. If the Bears were comfortable, competent, all this kind of stuff, they could have put up 40 today. Like, there's that kind of opportunity within this offense, within the talent they have out there. So I'm still trying to just say that, yes, the Bears still can get to where we want them to go. They just have to settle in. Yes, there's a talent issue on both lines that we're saying is a problem. But I do think Ben Johnson still is making an impact here, and it's just going to take time. And again, I had the Bears starting the season 0-2. I did not have them embarrassing themselves in both games, but I did have them going 0-2, and they're going to play a team next week that just lost to a team that was supposed to have the number one pick in the draft next year, or at least they took them to overtime to a team that was supposed to have the number one pick. So there's opportunity in week 3 to go 1-2 and just see where you go from there.
All right, so my instant reaction for this, 52-21, not just a loss, humiliation. Chicago Bears didn't just get beat by the Lions. They got exposed. They were out-coached. They were outplayed, out everything. You know, to your point, there's almost no positives to cling on to here. There are some. We'll get into it a little bit. It looked lifeless at times out there, unprepared again. Everything that was ugly last week kind of reared its head again. And to sit there and just watch this happen over and over and over again, I was at a loss of words. I was at a party. It was the worst feeling ever. It wasn't a very positive party at all. But to your point, it's 2 games. It's not rock bottom stuff yet, but look, they put it on the teleprompter, 12% chance for an 0-2 team to make the playoffs. I wasn't putting the Bears in the playoffs this year, but I don't know. I'm at a loss, so I'll move on.
All right, well, we're going to go inside the den. This is where we look at some of the big aspects of the game and just break it all down. But like you said, Bob, not a lot's going to be positive. I thought one potential positive might be how Caleb Williams played today. And it's not just the stat sheets, right? Sometimes, even within going 10 for 10 to start out the Monday night game, we said none of them were on time. Whereas here, he was getting the ball out on time. Still tries to do too much, but I'll be honest with you, this line that we thought was going to be a lot better wasn't giving him necessarily the best pockets to throw from. And especially once the game got out of control, then they just pin their ears back and come every single time. And at that point, I don't know what you can really put on him specifically. But Bob, you mentioned that there's still false starts. There's still sloppiness, playing behind the chains constantly. But I'm going to talk about that during the Johnson effect. But what do you guys think of Caleb's performance today?
You want to go first, Rob?
Caleb was not a problem at all. To me, he had 2 bad passes. I count off the top of my head, he had 2 bad passes. I got to go back and watch the film when it comes out, and I'm going to track it and put my grades on it. But look, the one that he threw it short. I can't remember if it was Zacchaeus or if it was Rome, but it was like literally at his feet. Bad throw, like just an awful throw. And then the interception was a bad throw. Like he was trying to do something with it. He had Zacchaeus. People were saying he was trying to throw it out of bounds. He said in his press conference he wasn't. He was trying to make a play. It was a bad throw. But I don't think it was a bad decision. And I don't care that he threw the interception. Like that's here nor there. Like, yeah, it was like a short punt. I think it would have been like a 30-yard punt. And it was 3rd down. It wasn't 4th, but whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just people out there already are like calling for Tyson Bagent again. And Caleb Williams wasn't really the biggest problem. Like, he just wasn't. And I feel like I'm repeating myself on the same things that kind of happened with Justin Fields being here as well. Chicago loves the backup quarterback. I said it in the last episode. I'm getting sick of it. I'm tired of having to defend them. Could they be better? Yes. I expected better. But he's also in the second game of a brand new system that took Jared Goff a very long time to figure out. Like, to sit here and say that he was the biggest issue when your defense let up 52 fucking points. No, stop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Rob. Caleb Williams was not an issue in this game at all. Was he as good as we want him to be? No. Was he better than last week? Absolutely. There was anticipation throws today. There was a couple inaccurate balls, but not the 5 or 6 absolute wild. What are you even looking at while you're in a pocket under no pressure throws? Those were gone. I think his best throw of the year today was there was like a 16-yard out to Rome Odunze. I think it was on the first drive. It was a 3rd down or 2nd out, whatever. It was just exactly as he was breaking. The only place it could have been where Rome Odunze could have caught it away from the defense, not out of bounds. It was just spectacular. He had another crossing route to Rome Odunze from the pocket. That was perfect. So I think there was a lot better there. As bad as the offensive line was, there was really only the 1 false start. So I think that, whatever the silent count was a lot better. There was one where Darnell Wright clearly just got destroyed and he got so badly beat that it looked like the sack was on Jonah Jackson, but it was actually on Darnell Wright. It looked like Darnell Wright got slow out of his stance. I don't know if that's on Wright, if that's on the quarterback. I don't really know. But there's just so much better that Caleb looked today. It was unfortunate that almost everybody else played worse today. And it just, in the end of the day, you played a really talented team who had something to prove, and they put up a 50 burger on you, and it looked bad. But Caleb himself, I thought, was better.
So real quick, I don't want to jump the gun here, but honestly, I thought one of his best throws was the one to Rome Odunze. They hit him right in the fucking numbers and he dropped it. Right. Yeah, and then the very next play was also a catchable ball. Put it exactly the only place that your receiver could catch it. Had he caught 1 or 2 of those, we're talking again, just statistically, Caleb Williams would have had 240 yards passing, where everyone's like, oh, he's got 205. Now you put it out. He's only got 3,700 yards. If he sticks with this pace till the end of the year, that's not 4,000. Guys, stop. I'm mad.
So let's go to the next topic. I think we're going to make Rob even more angry with this. But I talked earlier about how they were behind the chains a lot. And for Ben Johnson, I mean, what he's supposed to be bringing is this idea that every play we're going to put ourselves in the best position to make this play increase our likelihoods of winning the ball game. And I get it. We're going to say it 1,000 times, I think, on this podcast, but it takes time to come together and as a team play cohesively in a complex system. But just little things that you're doing that are putting yourself behind the 8 ball constantly is where things started to get out of hand. I mean, at one point in the game, they put a thing up on the screen that was like all the different bad distances and downs the Bears were in. I'm just going to quickly say 2nd and 17, 2nd and 32, 3rd and 14, 2nd and 34. So twice in the game, you're 2nd and plus 30. 3rd and 34, 3rd and 15. I don't think a team has ever had those particular ones and won the game. I mean, I'll just go out on the limb and say that. You are doing that to yourself. Some of them are questionable calls from the refs. You can't impact that, but you got to play through it. And on some of these long ones, hey, get a good chunk here. We talked earlier on the chat when the game was still within reach. All right, the defense stepped up big. Offense, at least get a couple first downs, possess the ball, change the field position. No, 3 and out. So, and by the way, that was the one where it was a direct snap to Swift and a fake reverse to Caleb Williams. It's at your own 10. It's like, is that the time, Ben, to be pulling this out? Maybe he thought they were going to be in that shootout game where they were going to have to put up 40, but I think he was being a little fancy there. Did it end up mattering? Not really, because the rest was a disaster. But all in all, through 2 games, I see mistakes that he's making out there, Ben Johnson I'm speaking of, and I'm not expecting that he'd be perfect, but we're really just not seeing it yet. But Bob, you had them 0-2. You're telling us, hey, be patient. So what do you think about the Ben Johnson effect?
First of all, I think Ben, like I said, I think the potential of what he is doing out there is evident. There is just so much that the Bears are leaving out on the field that is on the field in the first place because of Ben Johnson. So I still want that to be out there. But in these 4th downs, in these other critical moments, he's coaching this team as if he's coaching last year's Lions offense, and he's not. He's coaching the Chicago Bears in the second game of this offense with a talent deficiency. It is so clear that, obviously the defensive line is a problem, and then the secondary is all banged up. So if you give the ball back over to the other team, it's not like it's a given that it's going to be, you're going to get the ball back or it's going to be just a field goal or not. The Lions were going for a touchdown if you give them the ball back. So if you're going to go for it on 4th down, you better have something better than just a quarterback sneak where you're saying, well, I'm just lining up my offensive line versus your defensive line and we're going to beat you. Like, no, you're not yet. You're absolutely not yet. That's a problem. And then the other thing with the offensive line is obviously this whole time I've maintained that Braxton Jones is fine. Second half today, he did not look fine. You can also say that all year Darnell Wright and Jonah Jackson also haven't looked fine. So is this really a talent issue? Again, with Braxton Jones, in his best day, he's average, and he's obviously not his best days, but the rest of the line was supposed to be a talented offensive line. First-year coach hires a offensive line coach out of nowhere, out of college. Dan Roshar, I believe is his name. Like, are we sure that, like, this offensive line is being coached the way it needs to be in the pros right now? Does that have anything to do with how bad these guys are looking, right? Or is it on Darnell Wright that in his 3rd year now, he's just not mentally able to play right tackle? Is that right? Is that what we believe? Or do we believe in 6-7 weeks from now when the system becomes more ingrained in everybody, he's just naturally going to look better? I don't know, but it's disturbing to me that the right side of that offensive line looks as bad as it is right now. And, I guess I just like some answers on that.
I don't know if it's like the scheme or what, but Darnell Wright has regressed drastically. He was, in my opinion, a top 12-ish right tackle from his rookie year to his sophomore year. And now he has regressed. He just looks lazy. They talked about the mental mistakes that he loses focus. That's for sure happening. I will say the chop block was kind of a bullshit call, but it doesn't matter. This game just, there's nothing that I'm going to get positively out of this game. Like, it's just, I guess you just chalk it up and throw it away and hope that it doesn't happen again. But I don't have faith in the way that the defense is playing. I don't know where we're going to talk about the defense here in this, stack of things. I was thinking maybe around the 50.
It's actually coming up next. I realized that I went straight from Ben Johnson to the revolving doors at tackle without switching the slides here. But
yeah,
you guys got anything else to say?
No, that's on me. I wasn't ready for the pre-show. I was running late, so it's on me. I've had a really rough weekend, guys, and I got a yellow card. I've got a lot of anger pent up here, and it's all coming out now on this episode. Fuck, man. I expected more. Ben Johnson was my guy. And I'm not saying he's not going to be a good coach. I'm not saying that, but like, I thought it was going to be better. I didn't expect this. And I'm really, really frustrated. And I don't even know how to express myself without being angry.
Well, it's angering what's happening. I think anger is a legitimate feeling right now.
I mean, I didn't even really want to listen to post-game conferences that much, but I did hear Caleb's and I did hear Ben Johnson's, and Caleb at times doesn't impress me in how he speaks about the game, but you can tell there's a Ben Johnson effect in the mantra and the approach. And when you're 0-2 on the season, 0-2 in your division, and both could be chalked up as embarrassing, you could just say that's all empty words. But it seems like a team that hey, move past this. We have 15 more games. The next one is against Dallas. We're at home. Let's beat Eberflus, who you should know well. I mean, is the season a loss at this point? No. They need to improve. They need to keep getting better. And there were some games across the NFL where, I can think of one off the top of my head where you lost a heartbreaker. It's almost harder sometimes to lose that way than to just be all right, on to the next one. You're 0-2. You could be 1-2 next week. You could be 2-2 the week after that. I mean, I know that's not necessarily the one game at a time approach, but 15 more games to put out a lot better effort than what was there today. So,
speaking of, do we have anything else to say about tackles? We just want to move on to that pathetic effort on defense.
We can
They
move.
need to figure something out. At this point, though, if I'm going to just at this point, look, Trapillo was a second-round draft pick, and if fucking Darnell Wright isn't going to do what he needs to do, put him in at right tackle. I don't care. Accountability needs to be accountability. And he's not a left tackle. He wasn't drafted to be a left tackle. Anyone who thinks he was drafted to be a left tackle, you're out of your mind. He's a right tackle that could eventually become a left tackle, maybe. Put him at right tackle. Get Darnell Wright out of there, because I don't think you're going to see as many mental mistakes from Trapillo.
Well, a little teaser for later, but that would mean a rookie was making a notable impact. So I don't know if that fits in what they're doing right now. But 50 burger, you guys mentioned at the top of the show, that was Marc Trestman's thing. That's not supposed to be this. And Bob, to your point, when you're going for it on fourth down and not really producing, you're putting your defense in a tough spot. And they actually did respond at times. But, I didn't know where to put this in, but I'm going to put it in right now. Last week, you could tell they missed Jaylon Johnson being out, TJ Edwards, Kyler Gordon. Gordon's still out, and the other two return only to leave the game injured. And so that deep bomb to Jamison Williams, where Nahshon Wright just didn't cover him at all, thought he had safety over the top. Safety was nowhere to be found. Is that going to happen with Jaylon out there? I mean, earlier in the game, Jaylon was step for step with him, and luckily it was slightly overthrown. But that's part of the defense's problem, but I don't know, guys. There's got to be more to it than that when you give up 52. And real quick, tie this into the Ben Johnson effect. He was asked in the postgame, hey, did you think Dan Campbell ran up the score on you guys there, going for it on 4th and 4? He said, no, that's what they should do. And that's what they were told to go for it in that situation, because that's their mentality. My hope is he maintains that, and that becomes the Bears mentality. But it's hard to say now when we're as upset as we are seeing 0-2, but there's more to come, guys. There's more to come. That will be us hopefully later in the season or next season.
It was what, 4th and 4? From the 4-yard line? Because it was
From the 4. Fourth and 3, whatever it was, yeah.
Whatever it was. Stop them!
Correct. It's almost saying thank you for giving us this.
I don't even know who asked the damn question. Get out of the Bears media. Your question's stupid, man.
We need a credential on this show.
Well, I mean, it's a question to try to get a soundbite, and Ben Johnson
exactly all it was.
Good as it could be, and
that's all it was. And I'm talking over you guys, and I apologize, but literally, that's all it was. No, Ben Johnson answered it correctly. Thank you, Ben Johnson. 100%. I like the way you answered it. I will say that at least Caleb does seem to take accountability a little bit more this season. So maybe that, again, to your point, Justin, is a little bit of the Ben Johnson effect in the press conference. My big thing with the 50 burger, where the fuck is Montez Sweat? He came up one time and there was a penalty and it negated his sack. I didn't see shit from him. He can't stop the run, doesn't contain properly. I'm sick of it. I defended the trade. You traded a 2nd-round pick for this guy, paid him a boatload of fucking money. And where is he? He's disappeared too.
He made some really nice tackles today after he got beat, and he chased him down afterwards.
Yeah.
I heard, Rob, that the Bears could have had Micah Parsons, but they didn't want to give up Montez Sweat. No, I'm just kidding. I just made that up to get you even more angry. I apologize. But you didn't want Micah Parsons, so.
I did not.
I mean, it all the way around. I mean, and when we kind of get to this next point too, I do think the 50 burger today is a little bit on Ryan Poles as well. You bring, Nashawn Wright, who I guess you got a recommendation from your DB coach you respect. Great, but that's your great answer, who was on a practice squad last year, to be your third corner. Like, there's got to be something better than that, right? You look at the defensive line. Montez Sweat is your guy, right? Not doing anything. Where has Grady Jarrett been? I don't even think I've seen his name called in 2 games, and you gave him $12 million a year, and I don't know who else was given that contract, right? So it's just, I don't see, and Dayenbo has been a surprise based on the narrative of him coming out of training camp, but is he still living up to his contract, right? He made one nice play today where he made a good read on a swing tackle out to the outside. He kind of tripped the guy up for Tyree Stevenson to come finish the tackle. But, I don't know what he did otherwise today.
But, Bob, outside of the 3rd round, he does a good job drafting, right? Where are the rookies?
I mean, what we're talking about so far has been offensive and defensive line, right? And I know in our offseason, we were fine with taking a skill position in the 1st round as long as you address the trenches in the 2nd round or whatever. But they went skill. And again, even that might not be the worst thing. Skill with Loveland, skill with Burden. You ignore the trenches. But their 2 trenches they got in the 2nd round aren't on the field. And the skill players who they drafted are the first 2 picks are nowhere to be found. I think Burden had 2 targets today, and Loveland had 1 target today.
Which,
and
by the way,
what you got out of your draft class today? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Where are they?
Overthrow by Bajan.
Yeah, so I mean, I was going to mention that before with the Caleb stuff, and Robbie did a good job of whatever. But I think Tyson Bagent missing Loveland was the worst throw of the day today. Oh, Tyson Bagent's.
And social media is telling me that's on Colston Loveland. That's on Colston Loveland. He didn't run his route deep enough. How do you protect him? And you're the same people that were bitching about the ball that sailed over DJ Moore's head, that didn't go out of bounds like people think did because it nosedived, and you can see it based on the height of the ball to the height of the referee on the outside of the boundary, right? But again, it was a miscommunication. DJ Moore decided not to run the post corner because he was wide open. Caleb threw an anticipation timing throw. Had he just ran his route, probably would have been there, got his feet in at the 1 or the 2. Don't sit there and defend one and not defend the other. It pisses me off.
Rob, that one misthrow turned you into like a forensic scientist. You were measuring blood splatter velocity angles and things. That was a good breakdown there. But yes, you're right, Bob. Oh man. I mean, Ursary, we talked about getting a left tackle. That's a very important part of building something for the future when you have a quarterback who's young that you believe in on his rookie deal. And we've been excited about Loveland. We've been excited about Burden. But you have to see something. I mean, where Loveland was drafted, it's hard to do comparisons. You should be seeing Brock Bowers type of production, or at least the attempt to get that. Whereas his only target came in garbage time in the 4th quarter.
Give me Tyler Warren production at this point. I'm still seeing them use him correctly in Indianapolis and making him actually a part of their game plan. Today, look, in the preview episode, I talked about the way that the Packers destroyed the Lions was by going over the middle. Where was it today? That's where your tight end should have been. And I get that you had to keep 1 or 2 of them in. Constantly, I'm watching wide receivers and tight ends having to chip block. Aiden Hutchinson gets hurt, and you still can't take advantage of the fact that he's running slower than he normally does. I'm pissed off at Ben Johnson's game plan. I think it was kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was a little bit, the game was already out of hand, and the defensive ends were just teeing off on our tackles. But play after play after play, it was Aiden Hutchinson one-on-one versus Braxton Jones or Darnell Wright. I mean, get somebody in there. So, I mean, that's even more infuriating about Colston Loveland. It's not like he was no targets because he was in chipping the whole game. Our defensive ends were one-on-one with the offensive tackles. Where was he? I mean, Colston Loveland right now, 3 targets, 2 catches in 2 games as a top 10 pick. That can't be. That should be a bad half, not 2 games worth of stats. So, I mean, I just need, somebody to explain to me what's going on there.
I'm hoping that when I go to watch the film, I calm down a little bit, and that I do see some positives here, and I do see. But like,
I do think the best way to watch this stuff is that condensed game because you really don't have time. And so I watched this condensed game instead of the press conferences before we filmed here. And that's where I still see the potential of this team. I still see the potential of what they're trying to run on offense. Defense is every bit as bad as it looked live. You're not going to get anything out of that. But there still is, like I said, the Bears could have scored 40 today if just a couple different things go wrong. Like, Justin, your list of second and third and longs, if instead of 7 of those downs, there's only 3 or 4 of those downs, it's a different game, right? That first, second, and 30 plus was when the game was still in contention. It was 7-14 at that point, right? And the first hold on Drew Dahlman was actually Caleb Williams' fault because he didn't escape the pocket on time, right? It was clear he stepped up in the pocket and was open fine, but then he just kind of, I don't know what he did, but at that point it was too long, and Drew Dahlman just can't block a guy that long, so he's going to get a hold.
So we already talked about really important pivotal play sequence of going for it on 3rd and 4th with back-to-back sneaks. I don't think we need to go further into that. But Bob, you just mentioned some of the bad that happened when the game was still in contention. And as bad as things were, towards the end of the half, you could have been down just 21-14, getting the ball in the second half, and disaster struck. I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. One of you can correct me. But this man, Tesla in Detroit's made 2 catches in his career and has only used one hand both times. A crazy catch. A little bit of Odell Beckham almost because it was right on that sideline. He's clearly in bounds. And great catch. But I'm sitting there like, hey, clock's going. The officials blew it dead. And so all of a sudden I almost thought Detroit could have kind of done what Eberflus did on Thanksgiving and just squander the time and no points. They end up getting a touchdown out of that. And again, defense, step up anytime you'd like, but they didn't. Totally change the game. It's hard to say that in a 52-21 loss, but I just think the game is a lot different if you go into the half 21-14 than 28-14. So
but
absolutely
they did squander the time, Justin. They did. And the refs fucked us again. And I'm not going to put this game on the refs like the Minnesota Vikings game. When you are down with a knee and an elbow in bounds, how do you change the call to being he was out of bounds? Then I had people saying at the party that I was at saying, oh, I don't think anyone touched him. No, you go back and watch. His knee touched him. His hand touched him. He was down. There is no reason 6 seconds should have been put back on that clock. If there's anyone out there that can explain it to me in a better way.
Yeah, Rob, we're going to explain it right now. Maybe because you're at the party, you didn't get a full explanation of what happened.
I had
right?
no sound.
So Tesla goes down. Clearly, because the referee said he caught the ball, he must have been inbounds, and clearly he was touched, but the referee fucked up. You see the referee waving his hands, saying, I'm stopping the clock. He's out of bounds.
And that was at 16 seconds.
And out of bounds incorrectly. So then that's 16 seconds on when he does that. So then the referees convene. There's a call from New York, whatever it has to be. They say, nope, that was an inadvertent whistle. So the rule is a 10-second runoff, and Detroit gets to start a play with 6 seconds.
So you're telling me because they screwed up.
Correct.
That they screwed up even more.
Correct. That's what happened. So again, it's hard to blame. The biggest problem is that they just let Detroit march 75 yards in 1:50 with almost no resistance, right? That's a bigger problem. But to Justin's point, it's a bigger difference, feeling, we got away with one. Look, the clock's running and Detroit didn't get the playoff and we're going in 21-14. All right, let's go, guys, to you just got royally fucked by referee's bad call and they ended up scoring a touchdown and it's because we suck. And then now you're just coming out 28-14 and you're like,
the Bears already thought it was halftime. They started to run off the field and had to come back to then give up the touchdown. So
definitely pivotal play for sure. Didn't fit cleanly into the other ones. And then another one, I want to go pivotal player a little bit. Throw some roses, but also tackle Rome Odunze. Right, Justin, I know you for sure talked about Rome Odunze will be the number one target, right? He's going to be obviously the guy for the Bears offense focal point, and that's what he was, right? But part of that being that guy is making the plays when your team needs him, making the plays in those critical moments, and he had 3 drops in that second half where you really just can't have your best player on offense dropping that ball either. So on one hand, Rome, way to be the man, 7 catches, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's a great stat line regardless. But you left a lot out there for your quarterback and your team with those 3 drops.
So 7 catches. It says he had 11 targets. That's what I was going to ask you next is, were all of them drops? I mean, I'm trying to think of what the 4th miscue was, but certainly at least 2 of those, like, you have your hands on the ball. I mean,
I think the other target was that deep shot that they took in the first half.
Play action. They picked up the blitz and just overthrew it.
Yeah, overthrew it. Yeah.
Okay, good call. But you got to catch, I'd say 2 out of those 3. There was one low thrown beautifully, right where only he could catch it, and he drops it. The other one hits him dead in the hands and the chest. So it's sad to say it because statistically he had a great game. Rob, nice pick in UFFL. We had him and we had St. Brown. So a little bittersweet watching him do what he did today. But still a pivotal player. Hopefully there's a lot more of that to come. But who's the second weapon? Who's the third? We thought this was going to be like you had too many options, and we're not seeing that yet at all.
And again, they're not letting themselves run their full offense because of all the mistakes. So, I mean, there's all these things. And you hear Jonathan Vilma talk about their meeting with Ben Johnson midweek about how they need Caleb Williams to play more like a point guard and not a shooting guard, which is an interesting conversation to have those words come out of Ben Johnson's mouth about, hey, I'm seeing that Caleb Williams trying to do too much. He's just got to get the weapons, So we'll see. Rob, I think you said it a couple times where the Lions were 1-6 in Ben Johnson's first 7 games as offensive coordinator, right? So it's just one of those things. We just hope it's getting better. The quarterback looked better today. The team as a whole looked way worse.
The only difference is they never let up 50 points.
Yes.
Not that it's on Ben Johnson, but
yeah. All right. So what do we need to do next week to beat the Cowboys? Is there anything the Bears need to do differently or better next week? Give them a chance to beat that team.
I'm going to say something real quick that kind of ties back into, because I didn't get to say one, but I think a pivotal play was the DeAndre Swift fumble. It was bad timing. They were marching down the field, and that hurt them. They don't think they got any points off of that, if I recall. I think they missed the field goal on that one.
That's a great point, because it was a better play by Branch than it was like just, DeAndre Swift coughing up the ball. And obviously he coughed up the ball, but great play. Didn't end up resulting in any points, but it didn't result in any points for the Bears either, right? Correct. So that was really good. And again, that's a play when the game was still in hand that didn't go your way. So yeah, good call on that.
As far as the blueprint, I'm going to let you guys talk, because to be honest, right now, I'm not picking the Bears to win again until they actually do.
I thought, Rob, that you should just play a recording of yourself saying they need to run a clean operation, because they didn't do it in week 1. They certainly didn't do it in week 2. And obviously that's where it all begins to win in week 3. Like I said before, show me a team that's second and 30 2 times in the same game and they just won by 3 scores. Probably not going to happen. So that's got to be cleaned up. Mine could be recorded too. I keep saying they got to establish the run game. It's not there. And honestly, in 2 games, I don't want to put a lot of that on DeAndre Swift. I know people were critical coming into all this, that is he really Ben Johnson's guy? Can he run the scheme correctly? I haven't had too many issues with like the lanes he's choosing. I just don't feel like there's enough opened up. And then once you're down what you're down, the playbook becomes just, we're going to pass every time. Braxton Jones, pray for Braxton Jones out there. That's not any way to win. So get the run game going, get the play action game going. Don't give up 50 points.
I mean, it's a combination. Oh, go, Rob.
I was just going to say, Justin, Swift averaged over 5 yards a carry. Like, it was there, but to your point, the game got away from them, and they had to abandon it.
Yeah, it was more the game got away from them. I thought the running game was actually pretty decent. Yeah, there were still a couple 2-3 yard gains that you didn't like, but there were some, not quite explosive. They didn't get to 20, but there was a couple nice runs in there. But my thing is still, it's going to be almost a combination of you guys, but it's just that offensive line has got to start looking like professional offensive line. It was just so bad and ugly in that second half. Again, game script gets out of the way, but you're still in the NFL. You have to look better than that. I don't know what the solutions are. I don't think Theo Benedict's the solution on the left side. Maybe he is. I don't know, but I just don't think he is, even though I don't know if you guys really saw, when Bajan came in for Williams, Benedict came in for Braxton Jones. So clearly somebody had enough, whether it's Braxton Jones tapping out, whether it was somebody from the booth saying, hey, this guy's a turnstile today. Like, I don't know what it is, but something's got to happen. And then I don't know what has to happen on the right side of that line between Jonah Jackson and Darnell Wright. That is more upsetting to me than anything going on at left tackle.
Well, I was going to point out earlier in the show, and you just kind of mentioned it there, Bob, so I think a good place to put a pin in it. But Jonah Jackson came off an injury season last year. They also tried to move him to center, and it was a disaster. So we were told, hey, he's going back to guard. But he has always been a left guard. So I don't know if switching over to the right is part of what we're seeing as part of the problems. But he hasn't even been replacement level at this point, and that should be his floor. So it's concerning, but I guess the only positive here, guys, is as concerning and upsetting as a lot of what we're talking about is, it's only 2 games. Turn it around here.
I actually have something for a blueprint. Again, I'm not picking them to win anymore, but for them to be able to be better because the defense has been complete crap and Dennis Allen is not living up to my expectations. I don't care that they have 3 players down. I expected way more from this defense. Like we saw it in the preseason and how aggressive they were getting after it. Look, he runs a lot of man coverage. In order to do that, you have to have lockdown type corners and you have to have pressure from your front 4. If you can't dial that up, he needs to get more creative and he needs to find ways to make pressure consistently happen, whether it's from the safeties, whether it's from corner blitzes, whether it's from running a 5-man front. I don't care. You need to figure it out. And Dennis Allen, this is on you. You are now on my hot seat, not to be fired, but to make a change between week 2 and week 3.
All right.
And the last thing we want to see is Eberflus coach defense outperform what the Bears are putting out there, because the return of Eberflus should be a loss for the Cowboys. Do we all agree? But you're right, Rob. I don't think we can pick it.
Just have to see. Just have to see. Maybe we'll get some spectacular press conferences this week that'll all just sway our opinion.
That's all we got between now and then. So
I got
final word, guys.
My final word is, as always, F Green Bay.
Hallis Huddlers, I'm on the edge of my seat. Make sure you tune in for future content midweek. Bob Weiss will reveal, did the Bears move up in the NFC North power rankings today? You'll have to wait to find out. No spoilers.
Maybe they'll move down to 7th somehow.
That sounds about right.
Bring back the NFC, Central? When it was 5 teams?
Tampa Bay and the pewter jerseys or whatever. No, the powder orange or something.
No,
Dreamsicles. All right.
Well, make sure everyone comments. You're still watching. Comment us. You just vent. You just get it all out there. Safe space for you. Just let us know what you're thinking.
Until then, bear down and claws up.
Ready, break.